Hey guys, continuing our videos, Iamblichus Exhortation to Philosophy text, chapter 5. This is a really nice model that he gives. And slowly we start to proceed from this model towards the arguments that he'll make later on. That the thing that separates man from animal is reason. And thus the purpose of life, the function of a man in life, is to use that reason and to develop it. And we'll see it so beautifully explained later on. It will be very pleasant to see that. So here in chapter 5, he hasn't yet gone that far. He's just starting to prepare for that. He says that basically if we look at man and animal, what do we see? We see that animals excel in instinctive abilities and excel in sense abilities compared to men. Men's instincts are much weaker, and what they can do, what we can do with our senses from birth, is also much weaker than some of the animals. But what do we see in terms of things like reason and divine wisdom? He says only some animals have glimpses of reason, just tiny glimpses. But divine wisdom is completely absent from animals' perceptions. But with man, we see the opposite. Men have reason kind of much more developed than animals, like much more developed. Essentially, men have reason by the argument, and men can also acquire divine wisdom. So what does this tell us? This tells us a lot of things. That man is not an animal because of those two things. But also, man is kind of like an animal because he also has instincts and he also has sensibilities, even though those are weaker. But we're starting to get a glimpse now that the man, of how we perceive ourselves, is often from this perspective, and how we live our lives is like this. While essentially we're different beings. We're not animals, we're very different beings, and we need to align our lives to be more in touch with with who we are. And this is now is my interpretation. Otherwise, if we do not align our lives to be more in line with reason and divine wisdom, and remember that we develop those things through philosophy, theoretical and practical philosophy, if we do not align our lives like this, what will happen? Our lives will be meaningless. Essentially, by comparison, we will not find meaning and we will not find pleasure from them. And an analogy I've seen elsewhere that I really like is if we think of a violin. TTS used that analogy and I really liked it. We can use the violin to dig a hole in the ground. And yeah, we can be used for some types of ground. We can dip good holes with it. And that's it. Or we can take the violin and start using it according to its nature. Fine-tune it and start playing music. An amazing magical thing will start to happen. We'll start to hear music come out, harmonies, which is unlike anything that if we use violin for anything else. This third quality starts to emerge. And this is just now my words. This is not what Iamblichus said in this chapter. This is just my interpretation, taking it sort of in a different spin. So essentially we see the same with man. Men can live their lives to satisfy their desires, satisfy their senses purely. And this is how most men live their lives. And this will be like taking a violin and digging holes with it. And depending on what environment you're in, some holes will be better than others. Or the man can live his life according to developing reason through study and practice of philosophy. And if he does that, the third magical thing will start to appear. Like with the violin, it is the music, the harmonious music, beautiful music. The same way with man, his life will transform. What he thought before was one understanding of life. He will now see and experience things completely differently, in a third kind of magical way. Other people who live life like this will not even be able to comprehend what the man who lives life like this will start to experience. Because essentially here, we're taking the soul and using it for what it's meant to be used for, which is not satisfaction of sense desires. It is for development of reason and higher ascent via that. The way this translates psychologically, the man will start to experience incredible states of understanding, feelings, depth of feelings, and not emotions, but sensations and feelings towards oneself, towards the world, intuitions, and so forth. The more he lives according to this, and more peace and happiness, stable happiness, will start to emerge within this man. Much more stable than the chaotic happiness that happens for this man from satisfying sense desires. That's it in this chapter. I think let me see my notes. Yep. So for the chapter 5, this is it. And next we'll move on to chapter 6 in the next videos. And I made some more diagrams like this for you guys. So what I'll try to do now is just to take every chapter and transform it into kind of visual diagrams like this to explain. Because for me to read the text, it's very difficult. I do not understand it. I have to kind of like move things into this kind of format to then try to understand it and remember it. So hopefully it is useful for you also. And that's it. I hope you have a good day, and all the best. I'll see you in the next video about chapter 6. Bye bye.